This is a video of why you should move to Vietnam. I've never been to Vietnam, honestly, so I'm curious to find out what it's like living there, or why you should live there.
I first arrived in Vietnam 7 years ago, and since then I've called it home. And there isn't just one single thing that has made me stay in Vietnam. I would say it's a combination of many different factors, and all those factors came together so that I ended up staying. Here's one of the things, Vietnamese coffee. And just getting a Vietnamese coffee right on the street, sitting on these little red stools right by the side of the streets. I mean, that's awesome. So they put condensed milk and the Vietnamese coffee, which is a Robusta bean. It has a very strong, almost caramel flavor. And it's strong. It's very strong. And this coffee was only 15,000 dong, which is about $50, just over $50.
You just said $50? 50 cents for that coffee? Bro, so 50 cents. So look, we already know in America it's $5 for a coffee. Now I know. Coffee ain't really that big of a deal to most people. But listen. Since I'm in the Philippines now, so average coffee is 300 pesos. In Philippines, that's $5. So coffee is $5 in the Philippines. And actually, if you go to somewhere like Starbucks or any other coffee place in the US, coffee can range to $7 with inflation from 2024, I mean. But 50 cents coffee in Vietnam.
So since we're talking about why I call it home, I think one of the biggest reasons is that I feel at home here. There's something about living in Vietnam where you just feel that you have a lot of freedom and you feel comfortable, me at least. I think Vietnam is a very welcoming country, so the people are friendly and kind. So I'm walking through a local market here. And
do you see how clean that street is? Now, I don't mean to diss the Philippines, but if you're walking in any alley like that, you're gonna see all kinds of just mess. Maybe there's dog shit on the streets, trash everywhere, some mystery liquids in other places, and it's gonna be smelly. But there's just so much shit and like no room to walk. And there's too many damn people, either in the way or basically there's no walking room. So you basically have to walk into traffic to go where you're trying to go, where it should be freed up for you to walk, especially on the sidewalk.
And this is right behind Ninja Teacher TF4 Academy, so there's a really nice contrast too in Vietnam between things like this where you're just walking through a local market, you can buy fruits and vegetables and meats and all of that. It's very cheap to shop at a local market like this. And then right next to it we've got Pearl Plaza, which is like a modern shopping mall. So that's one of the things I really like too in Vietnam, is just that contrast of the modern but also this kind of traditional side of Vietnam, you know? We've got food here, bun sao che. Hello. We've got like a fruit store here, banh mi.
Alright, there may be like a little bit of trash, but it is much more cleaner than the average streets in some of these major cities like Makati, of course.
Oh, this here is bun sao, Vietnamese pancake. It's really good. So Saigon has the modern side of it. It's got Landmark 81, which is the tallest tower in Southeast Asia. It's got high-rise buildings. It's got all the most fancy things that you could possibly want in a city. There's high-end restaurants, it has shopping malls, cinemas, you know, everything that you could possibly want in a city. But at the same time, it's far more affordable than many cities in the world. So that is one of the other things, is the opportunities that you can have here in Vietnam. And I think that was, for me, a big one, because I just come out of a year of teaching English abroad in South Korea, and I enjoyed my time in South Korea, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay on there a little bit longer. I was actually going to move up to Seoul, but then I decided not to do that and instead traveled around Southeast Asia for a little while. And that was a great decision because then I ended up in Vietnam. As I spent more time in Vietnam, I just kind of realized I wanted to stay. And it was partly because it was very cheap to live in Vietnam. And you know, I had some money saved up from teaching my first year of teaching. But I also saw the opportunities for teaching English here were really good. And this was, you know, 6 years ago. And it has continued to be the case. Obviously, we had a little bit of a setback over the last 2 years. But
Look, so pay attention to the traffic. Do you see how like smooth that traffic is? It's almost similar to Thailand. Comparing this to the Philippines. So usually you would see maybe like 20 cars like this close, trying to go one direction. And you would never have an opportunity to cross the street. And then usually traffic is always backed up all day, every day. And then, but just looking at this, look how spaced out that traffic is. Look how spaced out it is. And look how much they take care of the landscape. Like all these trees and I guess those little, I don't want to, the pink on all those trees and everything. Like the greenery, they just makes the city look beautiful. It almost reminds me of Florida. Like going to Florida, you know, we had palm trees, all of it upkept. You don't have bushes or branches sticking out to where it makes it not feasible to walk around without having to dodge and weave and bob. Look how much they take care. Look how much Vietnam takes care of their landscaping.
But other than that, you can earn a really good salary teaching English here and then live really well and comfortably in Vietnam. Local Vietnamese food is really cheap, you know, $2 to $3 for a meal. No, around $2 for most meals. Depends on where you go, of course. Western food can be a bit more expensive, but most people I know are living off less than $1,000 per month in Vietnam, you know, with a nice apartment. If you're in somewhere like Vin Homes up there, fancy apartment building, then that's like a $700 plus apartment. But if you're maybe in a smaller apartment building, you can get something from like $300 to $400 for an apartment per month, and the rest of your living expenses, maybe renting a motorbike, $50 a month, eating out at Vietnamese restaurants, cooking yourself, occasionally going to more expensive Western restaurants. Well, you can live really well on less than $1,000 per month. Now I just realized this is probably pretty loud over here because this is probably the biggest street in the whole of Saigon, so I probably didn't choose the best place to film.
Another expense too, if you're coming here on a tourist visa, they raised the price up to, it used to be 2,700 pesos in the Philippines. Now it is 3,380 pesos. So it is now 57 USD per month. So that's another expense you got to add on. If you want to stay in the Philippines every month, you have to keep renewing, or you can renew every 2 months, but it's going to be double. So that you got that expense. On top of that, of course, my condo is 400 USD a month, so 400, and then utilities going to be $60, so that's going to be over 500 USD. And another thing, I know food is cheap here, but you have to be very careful and go to certain places in the Philippines if you want good, cheap, good quality food. Because I think most of these places try to give you the foreigner price. Not gonna lie, for the first time, I've actually been running into foreigner prices when I'm hanging out with one of my other friends. But when I'm by myself, I just get the regular prices. I don't understand why. I also teach English online. So I would say, you know, places like this, you can definitely live in the Philippines, in Thailand, and even in Vietnam on just 1,000 USD a month. You got to make sure you're earning 1,000 USD a month. And there is potential to make 2,000. If you're making 2,000, you're going to be living like a king. And you're going to be able to save a lot. But one more thing. When it comes to English teaching, due to the job market, layoffs, and nobody being able to find jobs, English teaching might be very, very saturated. Everyone is trying to teach English to survive or move out of the country. And usually when everyone's trying to teach English, it's oversaturated. But I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it's extremely competitive, and you got to compete with some of the top tier elite teachers like him. But I'm fairly popular with a lot of my students. I have two too many regulars. All I can say is I have too many regulars, but I got a very good student base, and he probably has thousands of students. I don't know, honestly, but I can manage.
Okay, I walked over here to Van Tan Park, which is a little bit quieter. So there are spots in the city in Saigon where you can get out of the noise because it is quite an intense city. There's a lot going on. But that is also something that a lot of people like about Saigon is the energy, just the hustle culture, but also just all the stuff going on. There's a lot to do. It's a city with a population of over 10 million people, so you're not going to be short of things to do. And with those low living costs, then you can comfortably live on $1,000 or less in the city. It is possible to blow a lot of money here too, so I'm not going to say that, you know, that is always going to be the case, that it's going to be super cheap, because you can spend a lot of money. But realistically, I've lived on $1,000 or less for many years in Saigon. And then of course the other reason why I stayed was the opportunities, the ability to work here as an English teacher. And that's what I started out doing. I was teaching here mostly part-time because I had already been working on Ninja Teacher as a company, but I did some teaching in Vietnam, and that is basically one of the best opportunities and things about Vietnam is to teach English. And as a first-time English teacher, you can earn about $1,200 to $1,800 per month. You get more experience, that can go up over time. And the great thing is you don't have to have studied teaching to start teaching ESL in Vietnam.
I will say when I first started teaching, I started teaching last year, beginning of last year, and I had absolutely no experience, but I gained 1 year of experience. 1 year of experience and hundreds of regulars and a good reputation and good ratings. If you're interested in trying to English teaching online, there's many options. You can try, platforms, but the thing is, when it comes to being hired, you're going to be hired as a freelancer, not an employee, so you're going to get no benefits. And the getting of the students is going to be solely based off your performance, or, getting lucky when it comes to setting up your profile. And then the hardest part is waiting months to a year to even get accepted, or to start, or to pass the demo tests. And if you want some serious, good pay, not low wage pay, but good pay, you're going to need certifications like TILTS. It's like a 120-hour course, which you can get some cheap and then some expensive, but it's best to make sure it is internationally recognized. But if you're planning on teaching online, that's what you want to do. But if you want to teach in person, you're going to have to find a company. But I will say going the platform route is going to be extremely hard. But it might be a little bit easier doing it in person, but that means that you have to sacrifice and move completely in trust and in good faith that you won't get screwed over by that company in whatever country you choose. And by the way, when you get there, you're going to be stuck. So if you get there and you figure out you don't like it, you're just stuck. You're stuck in a contract. So definitely look into it if you're interested. And one more thing, since platforms are oversaturated, it's probably best setting up your own website or marketing yourself that you know how to, teach English. But you need to have accolades, you need to have experience, and you need to have proof, because no one's just gonna just talk to you or pay you just because you know how to speak. You need to actually have teaching abilities, the ability to help people learn how to speak your language, and then explain the meanings of these words and phrases and scenarios. But that's just my spiel on the English teaching thing. If someone is ever interested in teaching English abroad online, so you can go anywhere you want.
English as a second language. So you're teaching people how to speak English. And that's quite a different skill set to some other kinds of teaching. You're not lecturing, it's very engaging, it's hands-on learning. So you don't have to have studied teaching, and you can just take a TEFL course plus a bachelor's degree, and then you can teach in Vietnam. And a key point of making that much money, while it doesn't sound that much objectively when you take into account the living expenses, and also the fact that that's for around probably 18 to 22 teaching hours per week, which is not a lot compared to the 60-hour work week that a lot of people are used to. And yes, there's extra work on top of that. You have to lesson plan for lessons, you have to do some admin work related to your job, but that affords for a lifestyle that a lot of people don't get to have in another country. And that is really saying something, because being able to have that kind of lifestyle where you don't have to be working all the time, plus being able to live really well, comfortably in a new country, it's a pretty great opportunity and is one of the reasons why I've stayed. Other than myself doing it and taking advantage of that opportunity, over time we've started to help other people do the same, and at this point Ninja Teacher has helped over 1,000 people move to Vietnam, get trained to be English teachers and find teaching jobs. We're just meeting up with some of the new arrivals, nearly half the class.
I'll leave his video link in the description, so if you're ever into getting into English teaching, you can follow his route. I already made my own route last year. I'm doing my own thing. The journey is going to be different for everybody, so if you're ever curious, check him out. He's the Ninja Teacher.
Has just got you so far? Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? So I'm pretty passionate about this opportunity to live abroad, because once you're living abroad, you have so many opportunities to travel further. You know, you not only get to experience the country that you're in at that given time, you get to go to nearby countries. And I just flew to Bali for $150 round trip, spent a few weeks there, and that was absolutely awesome. And you can do that when you have time off if you're teaching English in Vietnam, and it's super affordable. And that's not even mentioning how beautiful Vietnam itself is. You can travel to different cities throughout Vietnam. The north of Vietnam is absolutely beautiful. If you haven't seen my Ha Giang Loop video, that place is absolutely stunning. It's a motorcycle loop which you can do in the north of Vietnam. Wow, one of the coolest things I've ever done. That's one of the main reasons why I've stayed in Vietnam now, is because I'm pretty passionate about giving other people this opportunity to have the experience that I've had. And we had a team meeting the other day with the Ninja Teacher team to try and tap into our why as a company, why we exist. So we just had a little team meeting here, our planning for the rest of the year and this upcoming course in September. How did it go, everyone?
Yeah, good. Really excited to have a full course coming up on Saturday, just a few days away, and to get started again.
First team meeting? Yeah, excited.
Excited with a big growth after a while.
We want to show people about this opportunity and then help them do it. So our company mission is to inspire and help people to start teaching English abroad so that they can travel, earn and make a difference. And we have just begun our next TEFL class. This is day one. Over the weekend we had our welcoming events, everyone arriving. We have a full class this month of TEFL trainees, so we're about to get started with the training this month. Full month of training plus finding everyone a job, and over the weekend we had a city tour.
I want to say that's a pretty good deal for anyone that's interested in English teaching space. I will say teaching English does give you lots of freedom, because you can teach as many hours as you want and whenever days you want. You can plan your schedule however you want. And I will say, so comparing the living situation with either Vietnam or the Philippines, you have to basically pay a monthly subscription to stay in the Philippines. If you had 3 months worth of 3 months worth of visa extensions on tourist extensions, so 57 times 3, that's 171. So 171 is a bit much. It's a round ticket or flight to whatever Asian country you want to fly to and then back. So here's the thing. So Vietnam has a 90-day visa on arrival. Well, not on arrival, e-visa that you have to apply for. And then there is Malaysia, which is 90-day on arrival. So when you arrive in Malaysia, it's 90 days. So after 90 days, when you do your visa run, you can just go to somewhere like Thailand. And I think they have it to a way where you could stay there for 90 days, but you have to apply for it. You apply for 60 days and then you extend for 30 days. And then you have to do another visa run. And then you can come back to Vietnam, but you have to make sure you fill out another e-visa so you can stay another 90 days. And then guess what? You would be you would still actually be spending less to just fly to another country versus staying in the Philippines and then extending your visa every month. So you get the costs. So 171. I'm planning on flying to Malaysia, and my ticket is going to be 110 USD. But with 3 months of extensions, it would be 171 USD. So guess how much money I saved? 61 USD. You tell me, is it better to live in Vietnam and just travel every 3 months, or to live in the Philippines and just keep renewing your visa every month? And also don't forget that the costs add up on everything that you buy, food, groceries, everything, versus living in Vietnam where a coffee is 50 cents versus $5 in the Philippines.
And a welcoming evening to welcome everyone into the country, help everyone get settled, and now we're getting started with the training. How's it going, guys? All good? I'm gonna go in a little bit and let's get a photo.
And then another thing I want to add too, when it comes to food, eating out, so in Vietnam, he said it's $3 to $4. In the Philippines, going out to eat meals is $7. It can be $7 to $8 to $10. And if you want to be super, super cheap, maybe you can get two pieces of chicken and 2 rice balls for like 177 pesos, which is $3. But you're going to be eating a tiny box of food. 2 pieces of chicken and 2 things of rice. That's it. Versus if you go to Vietnam, you get whole meals for $3 to $4. You get more for less, versus you get less for less.
There's a public swimming pool here, which is only 70k to get in. It is a Wednesday during the day, so pretty empty. But actually, during the day when it's hot, not that many Vietnamese people are here because Vietnamese people don't like to be in the sun too much typically. Another thing for me is I really care about education in Vietnam and in general. And to be honest, this was not the case when I first started teaching English. Didn't really care that much. It was kind of more about me, what could I get out of it, the opportunity to live abroad, travel, make money. And that's perfectly fine too, but over time I've seen the importance of education, of English education in Vietnam. Just the fact that education is taken very seriously in Vietnam, and parents put so much into their children's education. They spend so much money on school, on helping their kids get a good education, and a big part of that is English education. There's a big emphasis on learning English in Vietnam to give people the best opportunities possible. That's part of the reason why there are so many jobs for English teachers. As an English teacher, you have the opportunity to improve education in Vietnam, give better futures to people, and make a difference. And that also goes for English teacher training, so TEFL courses, TEFL, that stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. And a TEFL course is designed to teach you as an English teacher how to be a good teacher. And we really take that seriously. And we've been offering TEFL training courses since back in 2014 through Ninja Teacher. And for the last few years, we've been running our training course here in Saigon with that break during the period that we don't talk about now. And we really take the education of English teachers seriously because you want to be able to be a good teacher so that you can step into the classroom, not only to get a good job, because schools really do care about the quality of your TEFL certificate, and also just so that you are the best teacher that you can be, and you can step into a classroom and do a good job for the students that you're teaching, because it's going to be, often young learners, and the way you interact with them and teach them is going to shape their future. It's important what you're doing as an English teacher, and investing in yourself and your own education is really important too. So it's good to be back in Saigon and making content again, and I wanted to make this video as a kind of a start.
I want to say that if there's ever a sign or opportunity that you're looking for that says that, I wonder what opportunity I could find abroad. I wonder how I can work overseas. I wonder how I could move or start a new life. Well, here you go. English teaching. The demand for learning English is very high in Vietnam. I do have Vietnamese students, and they say that education when it comes to English as a second language is extremely low. And it's high in Japan, it's high in Taiwan, and in China. China, they're a little bit restricted when it comes to looking for online sources. But Asia, everyone's trying to learn English. So if you're ever trying to find a opportunity to teach English abroad, also Brazil is too. I've had some Brazilians reach out to me. So Brazil, try out Brazil, try Spain, try Japan, try China, try Vietnam. I'm not sure about Taiwan. I'm not sure about Thailand. The Philippines, they've already got English teachers in the Philippines, but the reason why they're hiring Filipino teachers and Filipino teachers is so they can pay them quarter of the wage that they would be paying a native English speaker. And lots of my students complain that when they get Filipino teachers, they're not really giving them the real experience of how to speak English, because how the culture is here is when they basically, it's like reading off a script. Like, you don't know exactly what the meaning of something is, you just read it. And so it doesn't feel real, it doesn't feel authentic, and it doesn't feel genuine. So that's why native speakers are in demand. But most of these companies and platforms try to force discounted English teachers on the students and they hate it. They want a real native English speaker that can actually teach them how to speak like an American, or like a British citizen, or like a Canadian, or like an Australian. But not, they don't want to learn how to speak like a Filipino. They want to learn how to speak our American. And the thing is, our modern language upgrades, or not upgrades, but it changes every generation, every year, and because we keep inventing more ways to speak, and the Filipinos don't know what, they're not up to date with how we speak. So if you're looking for an opportunity, Asia is where it's at, or Spain, some of those other countries over there. But there you go. Sorry about my rant. I was just trying to give explanation and then trying to give like a little bit of a education.
To making content in Saigon again, because this is, to me, an overview of some of the benefits of living abroad in Vietnam. And in future videos, I'm just going to show you more about all of this. So tell you more and show you places in Vietnam that are beautiful places to visit, or cool coffee shops and restaurants. Show you more of what life is like in Vietnam. But I wanted to give this sort of overview of why I have decided.
Oh, and then to clarify, what I was trying to say is they're trying to force Filipino teachers onto the students because it's cheaper to pay Filipinos versus paying a native speaker. So companies they're trying to do native speakers dirty. So, but what they can never do, you can never replace the OG of English. Japanese people want to learn how to speak American English, like I said. So if you're an American, you can go to Japan, look for opportunities, or if you're a British citizen, go to Japan for opportunities. And I will tell you, I have one friend from the UK. He's moving to Japan to teach English. He has no experience, no certificates, but that company is basically going to reinvent him, and he's going to be, under training, and he's going to become an English teacher, and then he's set in Japan. That could be you. You could be like me, but mine is online and I can go wherever I want. So I'm not tied to one place. He'll be tied to Japan, so.
To live in Vietnam and make Vietnam my home, and give you a sense of if this would be something you would want to do, to live abroad in Vietnam. So leave a comment below with your thoughts on living abroad in Vietnam. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more videos about life abroad in Vietnam, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.
All right. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Yeah.